There's only been 3 match days so far this Premier League season, but I feel like there's been lots of new, surprising things happen already. So, here's what I think we've learnt so far this season. The first thing is that I think Sunderland are very dangerous. They even might stay up. I'll be honest, in my start of the season predictions I had them relegated because I said I don't trust their defence, but since then they brought in Nordi Mukiele and Lusothel Gachauda, I think that's how you say his name, and they're just great buys. Both have been really good defenders in the last few years across the continent. And the stadium like's been hard to play at. They got 2 wins from 2 so far. So yeah, Sunderland are looking very dangerous, and suddenly I reckon they might stay up. The next thing is that Grealish is back. At the start of the season, off camera I must say, I said that it was 50-50 whether he's going to be really good at Everton or just does absolutely nothing. And, I mean, it's quite clearly been the former. To be honest, he's always been one of my favourite players. He's just such a dangerous, direct threat. And we didn't really ever see that at Man City. I still think he had a bit more value than what people thought at City. He was very good in the treble-winning year. But, yeah, in general, a lot of the creativity and the spark was taken out of him. But in his first couple of games at Everton, he's completely shown all that creativity and spark. 4 assists in his first 2 starts is a bit outrageous. So, yeah, I think he can lead Everton to a superb season, especially once they sort their defensive issues out, which they usually do. Usually the strong point of Everton is their defence. So, yeah, it's exciting times for Everton, and I'm excited to see Grealish continue to thrive this season. The next thing that I think we've learned is that Andoni Iraola is definitely a great coach, and especially when his players have full fitness. Because I'm a Tottenham fan, and I saw the game at the weekend, and they absolutely cooked us. I honestly think that the Bournemouth press is the best in the league. The intensity they play at is probably, second to none. So there was a stage last season where Bournemouth went on a crazy run of wins and great performances. I think it was when the Bournemouth players had full fitness, because at that stage they kind of had virtually 11 fit players. But once those players got overplayed, got a bit tired, a bit leggy, I think then they started to struggle just before the end of the season, and that's when their form dipped. But now with a good pre-season under their belts, even though the squad kind of looks a bit thin, and quality-wise I don't think it's particularly that good, but the fitness that they've got due to the pre-season allows them to play at such a high intensity that it doesn't really matter the quality of the players too much. Just due to the intensity, they can overrun teams, out-battle teams, and yeah, Bournemouth are certainly a threat this year. I put them 16th in my predicted table. I said at the time I'll regret this in a few weeks, and I guess I was right on that one. I was right that I was wrong. If I could swap anything from that table, I'd definitely swap Bournemouth and Brentford's positions, because I got them a bit wrong. So yeah, Iraola's definitely a top coach. I'm not sure that this is anything new, but I've got to say that Liverpool are inevitable. In their first 3 games, there's a strong argument that they really didn't deserve to win any of them. The Bournemouth game, I thought that they were kind of outfought. They didn't look massively threatening. I thought that they didn't actually create as much as people kind of made out, and it took them a late win to get the 3 points. Then the Newcastle game, against 10 men, it felt like they could barely get a kick most of the game. I was shocked to see they had quite a bit more possession, because it really didn't feel like it. And then the 90+10 winner from Rio and Gamoa was quite incredible. And then the Arsenal game, which in general was just a very, very dull game, not too much happening. And then Szoboszlai just waxing the goal of his life. So yeah, Liverpool, as per usual, are inevitable. To get 3 wins from 3 from these performances, it's pretty ominous for everyone else, because we know that Liverpool are going to improve their performances once the new team clicks. Isak now in the door is going to be a bit ridiculous. So yeah, it's worrying for everyone else, and exciting times for Liverpool, because yeah, they're just a bit inevitable. Whereas on the other side of that battle, Arsenal don't look inevitable at all, and kind of look the same as they always have been. Sure, their performance at Anfield was kind of solid, but they never really looked like they were going to win the game, and I'm just not sure the mentality's really there. Last season, there was a lot of talk of how Arsenal drew too many games, and that was definitely the case. I think they drew 14 in the league. People were saying that if they turn even half of those draws into wins, they'd win the league. And that's true, but what people never did consider is those draws turning into losses. And, well, he was one of them at Anfield. That game was realistically a 0-0 if I've ever seen a 0-0, and they lost it 1-0. again, I've got to say that Gyökeres hasn't really shown me a lot. I think a lot of the other Arsenal signings, Mascara, Zubimendi, look quite tidy. But Gyökeres, I know he scored twice against Leeds, but really, like, he just didn't look very good. Sometimes it's just on the eye test. You have to judge a player. He scored a pen, and it was sort of a good goal he scored against Leeds, but the defending was also pretty shocking. And in the two games where he's faced real competitive defenders, I've seen the likes of Van Dijk and De Ligt sort of just body him at times. So, yeah, Gyökeres, I'm not sure he is the answer for Arsenal. And I think it also negatively affects their link play. We saw that at Old Trafford, they couldn't really hold the ball. So, yeah, I'm not really sure too much has changed for them. The next thing I think that we've learned to do with the title race is that Man City also don't really look very good. This comes as a surprise to me. I tipped them to win the league because it's just very Man City to go and win the league in this kind of situation where they're maybe second or third favourites to do so. They'd obviously bought a few players in. I said about Reinders, and everyone was going crazy about Reinders after match week 1, but to be fair, there's just not been too much of them in the last few games. The two losses against Tottenham and Brighton were just simply sloppy. They played pretty well against Brighton for an hour, and then the last half an hour they just collapsed, which is so unlike them historically. So, yeah, maybe they're not as good as they have been. It's a bit of a surprise to me, as I say. They realistically need to improve the defence. They probably should have bought a centre-back, someone similar to a Van de Ven. I know that there's not too many of them, but it would have been ideal. I know people are saying that the Donnarumma signing won't be good, but I think it will be, to be honest. I know that everyone's saying, oh, he can't kick. But think about it. PSG won the Champions League with him in goal for a year, but it's not like PSG play some kind of long ball kind of game. I'm pretty sure that Man City play more long balls than PSG, in fact, especially with Haaland up there. So yeah, he'll probably concede one or two silly goals passing out from the back, but Donnarumma is such a good shot stopper that I think he'll make up for it. And if he can turn up in the big games with them, it could be decisive. So yeah, watch that space with Donnarumma. I think that could be a quality signing. But yeah, I also think that we've learned that Man City maybe don't have the same spine, the same backbone as they have in previous title-winning years. The next thing that I've taken from the first few games is that Ellen Road is going to be a really hard place to visit this season. I've seen all three of Leeds' games, and they're all pretty different. The Everton game they dominated without creating a lot. The Newcastle game was just boring, just forget we ever saw that, although good defensively by Leeds. And then the Arsenal game was pretty catastrophic from Leeds' point of view. Probably the worst performance from any team in the league this season. So what I've taken from that is that Leeds' home form is going to be imperative to them so they stay up. They're not going to be a team who's going to be able to be resolute on the road, but at home, yeah, it's going to be super important for them. So it's going to be a really good relegation battle this year, and Leeds need to get an incredible home record if they want to stay up. A team that I don't think will be anywhere near the relegation battle is Crystal Palace, and we've certainly seen that their manager Oliver Glasner has pretty high standards. Glasner was not willing to let his captain Gehi leave unless he could get a really sufficient replacement, and when Palace didn't really provide him with that, he just simply blocked the transfer and said that he would quit if they didn't get him that. So yeah, Gehi ended up staying remarkably. Glasner has good reason to be demanding though. He's completely revolutionised Crystal Palace. Before, they were kind of a fairly slow team that not too many people were interested to watch, especially me. If Crystal Palace were on TV, I'd probably just skip it. But nowadays, I always try and make time to watch their games because they're an exciting attacking team who thrives on these fast breaks. So yeah, they're exciting to watch. I'm glad that I went with 3 Crystal Palace players in my fantasy team last week as well. They all got me quite a few points against Aston Villa. So yeah, thank you, Palace. The final thing that I think we really learnt about an individual club is about Newcastle, and particularly about their striker situation. Luckily, no one's really talked about Newcastle's striker situation recently, so this is a completely new topic, isn't it? Well, apart from everyone ever. But yeah, in Newcastle's first games, they just looked toothless. The Villa game, well, according to the stats, they dominated. I was at Tottenham, so didn't get to see it. Watched that vlog, by the way, from that game. It was a good vlog. And yeah, so they dominated against Villa, had no striker to get a goal. I think Gordon had 7 shots or something. Hopefully that's close to right. Get the stats on screen now. If that was right, well done to me. But yeah, no goals as he was playing as a striker. The Liverpool game was something similar. I know they actually scored two towards the end, but that was more just very scrappy on set pieces. It wasn't really anything to do with clinicalness. And really they should have at least been 1-0 up by the time Liverpool scored. And then, yeah, their recent game against Leeds, there was really nothing in the game. It was a completely toothless display from both teams, to be honest. But now they've got Nick Woltemade and Jan Visser in. Visser seems like a bit of a guarantee, but you never know when a player upgrades a club. He should do well, I expect him to, but you never know. And Woltemade is a big unknown. In the Bundesliga, he's been such a fun player to watch in the past few months. He's a skillful player despite being 6'6". But what's important is that he can be a goal scorer, because that's really what Newcastle need. So, yeah, we've definitely learnt that Newcastle needs someone who can put the ball in the net, and they haven't had that so far. So, overall, there's just loads of inconsistencies in the Premier League this season. It's going to be really unpredictable, and I think at the end of the season we're going to see some surprisingly low points tallies, finish in higher league positions. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and cheerio.